Let's bring in former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, thanks for joining us tonight. It was a wild day in the D.C. press briefing with the press secretary not still saying who did the Parkinson's specialist meet with. I mean, you've been in the White House. We've got reports that European leaders are worried about the president looking older and increasingly old. I mean, have you been in that White House? Do people get their own specialists just showing up?
Not that I know of. I mean, listen, they have to have a full disclosure to the American people about what's gone on for the past 4 years. Everyone's seen it. The press is culpable here. I mean, the fact that they're angry today and actually doing their job for once in 4 years is a little bit of a joke. These are the same people that allowed him to campaign from the basement. And even though a lot of people were warning that he may not be up to the job for the last 4 years, the press has by and large ignored it. You know, what's more troubling to me, Liz, especially from a foreign policy perspective, is what has gone on in those one-on-one meetings or those small group meetings between the president and Putin, between the president and Xi Jinping. You know, all of these people meet with President Biden and then they come away, our enemies come away making calculations for what they can get away with. But let me also just say, Liz, this isn't just about Biden. This is about bad policy. This is essentially President Obama's third term when it comes to foreign policy. The same people running Obama's second term are the people running this first term of the Biden administration. Yeah. And it's bad policy that happened in the Obama administration, again, repeated in this administration. It's not just the personality. It's not just the president. That's a part of it. But it's bad policy that's got us to the chaos where we are around the world today.
I mean, how does Biden's decline affect U.S. standing overseas? Because Politico reports world leaders are getting ready for Trump to return. The Washington Post reports Biden's aging and decline, quote, is accelerating, that he has slowed considerably over the last several months. That's according to 21 people close to the situation. How does this affect America overseas?
So you have to remember, to put it in context, the American press corps and the international press corps is dominated by Western European press. So what do I mean by that? When you read all of these articles by Politico and everyone else that talks about the reaction of Trump, you're not necessarily hearing the reaction from key strategic allies in the Middle East and in East Asia. I spend a lot of time with leaders from those countries. I've worked in national security for 20 years. I can tell you it's often Western Europe that is bitching, to be quite frank, about Trump, but that's not the case when you go to the rest of the world. People who are on the front lines of dealing with Putin's aggression in Eastern Europe, people like our Arab allies in the Middle East who have to deal with Iran, and of course our allies in East Asia that see Chinese aggression. These people that I talk to, they're going to accept the democratic outcome in America, but there's no negative reaction to President Trump. In fact, I think that they welcome the days whenever a president meant what he said, when they knew where the red lines were and when they could count on America to be tough and strong, not just in rhetoric, but in action. And that is the principal problem with the Biden administration foreign policy. It is a communications exercise. It's a rhetoric exercise, but there's no meat on the bone when you peel it back. Putin knows it, Xi Jinping knows it, the Ayatollah knows it, and Kim Jong-un knows it.
Interesting. Morgan, you just encapsulated the whole 4 years of this Biden term and their foreign policy. Terrific, Morgan. That was great. I'm going to watch that again. It's good stuff.